I work in the associate development program for RR Donnelly. So what that means is that I'm part of, I'm on the sales track. So it's a 1-year program where you learn about um, basically how to sell. You do plant rotations around the plant to get used to doing different departments and seeing how their roles all work together. For example, I've worked in pre-press, I've worked out on the production floor. I'm currently working in accounting. I'll be doing estimating soon, and then also production management to just get the whole workflow. And while I've been doing that too, I've been meeting with some salespeople, going on some sales calls with them, conducting press checks, all that sort of stuff to really help understand what I'll be doing once I start selling the products and to better understand the full process. So I know exactly what I'm marketing to customers when I talk with them. And I've been there. I started on July 12th, 2021. So I've been there for just over 3 months now. And I've been really enjoying it so far. It's been a really great experience. And I feel like I've been learning a ton about just the whole process and understanding how print and marketing kind of works. RR Donnelly is a company that does a lot of print and marketing solutions for other companies. So for example, we do a lot of mailing at my facility. We do like those, where you send out like all the junk mail that you get in your mailbox. We do a lot of printing for election work, whether it be campaign work or for actual ballots and such too. We did that, a lot of that for the 2020 election last year. We produce, so we do some wide format stuff. So we do some large format printing signage for some stores. RR Donnelly does a lot of work with retailers. So we do a lot of signage for larger grocery stores and all that stuff. And it's really interesting to see how the different aspects of what we learn in GRC come together to make something bigger and different. Like for example, a lot of the stores utilize a system where they'll go in and do store profiling, and then once they send out, like if a store has a campaign that they send like for holiday season or something, all the different stores will get stuff that's kitted specifically for those stores, and it's all very custom and packed, and it's all automated and streamlined with data-driven data, and it's really interesting. So it's cool to start learning about that, and I'm excited to learn more. The GrC job fair, or the GrC Career Fair, was instrumental in me discovering this role. I really didn't even know about RR Donnelly too much. I've heard the name before, but I didn't really know exactly what they did or what, if there's anything that I would want to do with RR Donnelly. But going to the career fair and hearing the two people that recruited me, Ian and Mark, speak, I was really interested in them and what types of positions they might have available. After talking more with them and hearing about the opportunity in a sales role, I wasn't completely sold that sales was what I'd want to be doing, but I followed along through the interview process, and throughout learning more and asking questions about what the role entailed, I was really drawn to that type of position. And after being there for 3 months now, even after the first month, seeing how the salespeople worked and that sales is different than what I expected sales to be was really amazing. And I feel like my GRC knowledge, knowing what we know from GRC and what we learn and the types of things that they have us, the classes we take, and to understand the knowledge is really, really helpful going into industry. I feel much more prepared than a lot of other people that I've talked to, especially other salespeople who had different backgrounds, who are similar in age to us, who might be just a few years older, but went to school for something different, or who are in my training cohort with me too. And having that print background makes it a lot easier to pick things up, because when they start talking about, oh, how we're going to print this offset or digital, or how we're going to go through the production process and how it goes through pre-press and all that stuff, learning how to work with files and understanding what customer needs might be based on the things that we've learned from the classes that we've taken about workflow and all that stuff is really helpful too. So to answer the third question, some of the skills that I've learned in college that I use in my job, I think generally just like with time management and work ethic, I think knowing and understanding kind of how to interpret assignments and to be creative and critically think through problems as they arise is really helpful. I use that on pretty much a daily basis to solve problems that come up in the workplace. Well, not problems in the workplace, but problems that I come up and solve as a part of the job. In a production manufacturing environment, it's really fun, I think, to find and figure out how to make things work in the most efficient way. So So it's been really cool to kind of shadow people like our scheduler who's putting the different jobs in different places and scheduling those, hearing about some of the things that our plant president is doing in order to kind of balance out processes and to improve workflow and production and to make things as efficient as possible. And I enjoy solving problems and challenges like that. And different things we've done at Cal Poly with GRC are super helpful with that too. Like a lot of the skills as far as learning how to do like in sales, especially doing like SWOT analysis, industry analyses, doing some research about companies and then coming back on those and kind of putting together an executive briefing of that segment in that industry is really helpful. And having that knowledge of putting this together and then giving presentations presented graphically and beautifully is really, really cool too. I feel like learning how to put together presentations in an effective, engaging way is something that I learned how to do at Cal Poly and in GRC. And I'm really grateful for that because I feel like it's helped make me much more successful than I would have been if I had to learn that all starting where I am now. I think one thing that, especially for GRC, at least that I wish I'd done more of was on the design aspect of things. I've always been a little bit more of the like production focused person. I like watching the process and understanding how that works. And I feel very grateful for the education I've got with that. But I do wish that I did a little bit more with learning how to hone my design skills in order to create stuff of my own. I feel like I've learned a lot and I have the tools to do that. But as far as like creatively, I wish that I had just a little bit more coaching to help guide my creative mindset behind that. At Cal Poly, I wish that I took, I don't know. I got a psychology minor and I really enjoyed that. I feel like maybe if I had more time, I would have taken, I don't even know. I feel like I took a lot away from my experience at Cal Poly and at in GRC, and I don't really feel like there's much other than wanting to do a little bit more with design that I didn't take away or that I wish I could go back and do more of. So yeah, overall, very satisfied with my education. Right now, over the next year, I'm doing the pretty intensive sales training to understand kind of how to sell, working with people and other sales mentors to get that understanding, doing rotations in the plant to understand our whole process and how that works, and then shadowing other salespeople to get some insight into how they work and how pulling together the things that I like about all of their mentalities and strategies and client relationships and bringing that into what I do and into my role as a salesperson. So I think for the next year, I'm excited to learn more about that and to start working with some clients soon, hopefully, whether that be picking up some leads that are already kind of warm or going around and cold calling and finding some other businesses that I'm passionate about and in verticals that I'm interested in and tapping into those and seeing if there's anything that we can help them with. But in the next 5 years or so, I'd like to kind of just develop more myself and get better understanding of how everything works and soak it all in and hopefully use that to help other people. I'd love to, a lot of people that have worked with me so far in the sales side of things that do a lot of mentoring, I look up to a lot, and I'd love to be able to do something like that, whether it be a formal position, like working to help manage a smaller sales team or something of that sort, or even just doing an informal mentorship while working where I am currently. I feel very satisfied. Like there's a lot of growth potential in what I'm doing, and working with others is something that I really love doing. So as long as I'm able to continue to have those interpersonal relationships and to build on the connections that I will hopefully be making over the next year as I start reaching out to customers and to other people within the company, that'll be great for me. I think long term, as far as what I'd like to do in the far future, before I retire, I'd love to teach. I'd love to maybe even come back to Cal Poly and teach a few classes at some point before I retire completely and give back to the community and environment that made me realize who I was and who I wanted to be in life and in the industry and in everything. And I feel like working with others and helping to teach others some of the lessons that were imparted onto me that I have found extremely valuable would be very rewarding, especially after soaking up as much as I can in and being able to give back as much as possible. So yeah. My work environment's pretty good. I work in a plant and we're all back in person, so that's really awesome. I'm very, very glad to be in person and working with a group of people that really care about what they're doing, and that's really satisfying. I work on so as a salesperson, I work on a team. I work on a sales team, but a lot of my work will mostly be done kind of independently, but then working with others to collaborate on on questions that I might have, strategies of how to attack things, maybe joining forces with another salesperson or with sales manager or plant president in order to pursue an option, or pursue a venture as far as doing business with them of that sort. My environment's extremely hands-on. Every single person that I've worked with in any role in the company so far with doing rotations is extremely, extremely helpful. And any questions that I ask, they love to answer them. And that's been really fun, because just watching how the whole process is, not being afraid to just say like, oh, well, how does this work? What does this mean for this? What does that do for that? And how excited they all are about what they do to want to share it with someone like me who's coming in, who knows some, but not all at all about what's going on, is a lot of fun. And I really appreciate how hands-on the environment is. In a manufacturing environment, there is some pressure just because of time constraints that come as a result of working with jobs and customers. But for the most part, I haven't felt there's a ton of pressure as long as things work smoothly and things are planned out in a way, and communication is super key. As long as there's good communication, even if things start to get closer to deadlines, and communication really cuts all the pressure that is around it. And even if you know, oh no, well, this is going to be right on time and we're going to have to like really work to make this happen, as long as communication is being open throughout the whole process between the people that are out on the floor and the people who are managing the project and the salesperson who's communicating with the customer, and then the customer is informed of what's going on, everything works out really well. And it's a lot of fun to have those interactions, not necessarily when questions arise later in the process that might take longer to fix, but it is still interesting to see how that works and to watch different people's styles in tackling those and trying to figure out how I want to tackle those problems once I get into, or those challenges, I might say, once I get into that place. Because a lot of other salespeople I've talked to, even in other industries, say that even if you have something, and especially with the supply chain issues that we've been facing because of COVID recently, people are very understanding. And as long as you communicate the problems that we're seeing as far as paper supply shortages and shipping, freight supply shortages, and labor shortages as far as production goes, everything works out well. And good communication just leads to better connections with people. So that's great. But one thing that I really enjoyed, that when I think back on GrC, that just makes me kind of happy inside, was doing the 301 photography labs in the evening. I had that evening time from 6 to 9 p.m. On Wednesday with Jeff Van Cleek, and that was really fun. I really enjoyed going out with the group and shooting panorama. I know we went up to Perfumo Canyon and did a panorama there, and just taking photos up there and being out during that sunset time of day, but also doing work for a class and then coming back and processing those images and having that as something that I don't have it hanging in here, but I do have my panorama printout still rolled up. I think when I moved up here to Sacramento, I had that in somewhere that I'll pull out and hang at some point. Was really great. And it was fun to be on a team of people that were fun to be with, and to, I don't know, just be out in the world and have that intersection between GrC and nature and photography and life. Was really fun. But I have a lot of fun memories of the department and working on equipment with Rachel Ma, and being on TAGA and everything else that goes along with being in GrC. So yeah, I guess as long as you're having fun and you like the people that you're working with and you try everything, I don't think that there's any way you can not have a great experience in this program. So that's my wish to you all, to go out and enjoy and really soak it all in as much as you can. I am jealous that you're all back in person now, but I'm very happy to be where I am. And I know I wouldn't have been here without the program and the department's support in getting here. So thank you all for that.